Thank you. All right. See.
Ole, welcome to Cardiff.
Tack. Thank you.
I'm Frances Dundren from Premier League Productions. We're obviously delighted to see you. A lot of speculation in recent years, but great to see you here. Your name's been linked with a number of Premier League clubs, Aston Villa, West Brom. What made you decide to come to Cardiff ultimately?
Quite a few things actually. I've always wanted to come back into the Premier League, of course. And after meeting Mehmet and speaking to Mehmet, I have to say he convinced me to come. And of course, I've been watching football, and the passion of the fans, the passion in and around the area, with a club that's going forward, is for me a fantastic challenge. It was a bit of negotiation with the family, of course, how we gonna do it, but I think it's the right step. It's a step for me now to get different challenges, and Cardiff with what they've proved over the last 3 or 4 years, 4 years, have shown. So they've been in the top in the playoffs. They've promoted a couple of cup finals. So they're now ready for the next step, I feel, and hopefully I'll be the one that will do that.
You mentioned the passion of the fans; they are incredibly passionate. You mentioned you like challenges, and I'm sure you do. You can't be unaware that there's a great level of scrutiny on this club at the moment. Is that something that you relish? Does it galvanise you, or are you aware of that as an extra pressure?
I think that's one of the factors that intrigued me most about Cardiff. Is the passion of the fans, is that they love their club, is the support they give their heroes. Every single Saturday they come out there and scream their hearts out for the heroes. And if you want to manage a football club, you want that passion. And I'm really looking forward to convincing them that I'm the right man to take the club forward.
Do you think they'll need some convincing?
Well, you always do when you're new in a job. You depend on the team's performance, and I'm just gonna, as I said to you, ask them to come and support their heroes, and I'll try to convince them with my hard work, loyalty, my brand of football. Hopefully, will make them proud of the way we're playing football.
You said about supporting their heroes. You had a chance to watch their heroes in action yesterday. What did you think?
And I watched the game against Sunderland very closely, and it's very excited when you play positive football. The times that the start obviously of the Sunderland game was a fantastic example on how they can play. I think at times yesterday was the first time live I saw them, and at times they really went for it forward, played forward, ran forward. They caused problems for Arsenal, which is one of the better teams in Europe. And that gives me a lot of encouragement on this future.
Have you had a chance to meet the players yet?
Yes, I have done this morning, and have a first chat with them. That's always something you look forward to, and a great bunch of lads. I'm lucky. I'm inheriting a great squad of fantastically hard-working, talented young players who've now. They've been used to winning games the last 3 or 4 years. Now they're in the Premier League. Go and enjoy it. Premier League is the best time of your life. I wish I was 25 again and played in the Premier League, of course. Time ticks for everyone, so I can't. Now I'm a lucky man to be a manager in the Premier League.
I suspect there'll be a number of the players who will feel lucky that you have come in, because obviously you have done it at the highest level, not least that wonderful moment in 1999. Is that going to be part of your brand of inspiring this team and inspiring the fans, what you bring in terms of that element of star quality as well?
I hope to inspire them and motivate them and improve them as players and improve us as a team with my philosophy, the way I want football to be played. And it starts today with Mark. Mark's doing a session, and tomorrow I'll be there at the training ground and preparing for Newcastle, because now you're in the right in the thick of it, because and that's the Premier League. That's what I love about being back over here.
You have come right into the thick of it. Obviously, it's a time to shop in January. What do you think from watching the last 2 matches that you need this January?
I'll take my time to assess the squad and the players, and what's important now is that we get continuity, stability. I've had numerous of phone calls from agents already, staff that want to come and join this great club because they know it's a great place to work and it's a great club to work for. So I've just got to step back and take my time.
Finally, from me before I hand you on to Rob, any top tips from your big mentor, Sir Alex? Any sort of conversations with him about this and advice going forward?
Yes, I've had good contact with the manager or with the gaffer. He's wished me all the best, given me a few good advice, of course, as he always does to you when you work for him. If you ask him for advice, and of course I had a good conversation with him.
Very best of luck. It's good to see you.
Thank you very much.
Hi, Rob Phillips from BBC World. Nice to see you. You talk about Sir Alex.
Yep.
There have been reports that he tried to dissuade you from taking the job. Can you?
Yeah, absolute nonsense.
Right.
Yeah.
But what assurances have you required to take this job?
What assurances? I've had great chats with Mehmet, met the owner again yesterday, and they've convinced me that they want me to be in charge of the football, to take the club forward. And for me, I don't really need any more confirmation than seeing the players yesterday, because that's what I want to work with now. The players and the passion and the hard work they showed.
Given the position Cardiff are in, how important will this transfer window be for you?
Well, you have short term, you have long term. Of course, short term, it's important for us that we start getting points. We've got 7 of the teams that are placed from 10 and down at home, so we got a good chance of getting results. What's the most important thing, though, is that we start getting performances again, and then you have the long-term plan. Obviously, I'd like us to finish above Swansea. That must be a name. And they've almost gone forward as a little bit of a role model. Southampton as well. They're the clubs I'll look at and see what they've done over the last few years. But let's make sure we get above Swansea then. I know that'll be important for everyone here.
You're learning very quickly, I have to say. And are you satisfied with the finances that you'll have available? Was that important?
It was never an issue about talking about how much money, this, that, the other. For me, it's about, because when you come into a club, it's cultural differences. It is. When I went to Manchester United, that was a new experience for me. When I went back to Molde, coming with the English influence I had then, that was a cultural difference from the people back home in Norway. Now when I come in here, I want to create a culture here as well. So that's been the chance. What kind of culture I want to create, and the communication between me and Mehmet, and me and the owner, which will be obviously crucial. Communication and dialogue is the key in any organisation.
I suppose it's as much managing up as managing down. Is that what you say about the relationships you have with Mehmet and Vincent Tan?
I think managing the club as a manager should do is both up and down and everyday business, and I'm really looking forward to the challenge.
Were you at all perturbed by the reputation of the owner?
You know, everything isn't exactly what it seems from the outside, and there's been reports, this, that, the other in the press in Norway as well, and after talking to Mehmet, I'm saying to my eldest Noah, so this looks like Daddy wants to go for. He wakes up, checks the internet. Daddy, it says you've said no to Cardiff, so don't always believe what's in the press.
And,
no disrespect, but
what about the brand of football you play? What can you tell the fans about?
I've got a positive outlook on football, obviously. You've got my wish and I want the players to express themselves. They love playing football, want to run forward, want to play forward. That's my brand of football, style of football is forward-minded. And you see the 3 or 4 times yesterday when you win the ball, you secure the first pass, you get it to Jordan Much, you have Fraser running, you have Noon and Kimbo Young running. They cause Arsenal problems. So forward football, forward passing, forward running.
And just finally for me, who have you brought with you as your staff? And what happens to the current staff?
That's always a difficult part of being a manager coming in new, because there's been great people here at the club, good football people. So, but I'm bringing Mark Dempsey with me, and Richard Hart is with me. And as I've said before, I've had loads of phone calls and inquiries from agents, from players I know, from staff that want to join this club. So I'll just take my time. The important thing is continuity, stability, and work with the staff at the club at the moment.
Ole, Juliet Pennington from BBC 5 Live. I was just wondering, how long are you actually here for in your terms of your contract?
I hope I'm going to stay as long as possible. It's a rolling contract, and Mehmet can also.
It's infinite.
Infinite.
Yeah. So in football, you're always you're there as long as you perform and you get good results.
And when you said you've spoken to the boss,
Yeah.
what advice did he give you?
That'll be between us, of course. Always, when there's big decisions to make, you rely on certain people you trust. I trust him. I trusted him with my football career to manage my career, and I trust him now as well. And his advice have been, of course, important.
You always seem to have been the number one target for Cardiff City. Was it a tough decision to make?
Both yes and no. No, because what I've said here about the club and the position and the possibility at the club, the passion of the fans. We're here, the capital of Wales. We're the only club in close nearby. That it's a big club. Then no, because my family. Yes, because I want to get into the Premier League. No, because my family settled really well in Christensen, and they've had 3 years. So that was the biggest. Not biggest decision to make. The football decision was made early after speaking to Mehmet.
And just one more. I was just thinking about what you said, how lucky you feel, and the fact
Yeah.
that you've met the players as well. Arsene Wenger was saying yesterday that it's been given a chance of a Premier League job. Was that ultimately what did it for you?
I've always dreamt about being a manager in the Premier League. I always said I think I will. Now it's my chance and my challenge. I'm here now. It's up to me to prove I'm up to the level, and I'm confident that I can do a good job.
Ollie, David Ornstein from BBC Sport. You talked about not always believing what you read,
Yep.
But from afar, how did you view things? Because there were some things that happened that were quite unsavoury, regardless of what people think about the newspapers. Some things went on that were quite regrettable. So how did you view, did you have any concerns about the position itself?
No, I didn't really, because for me it's now, I want to sit here and talk about the future, and the future about the club. I think that's very exciting, and the way I want the club to move forward, and what's happened has happened, and I'm here to bring the club forward. I'm here to manage this club as best as I can do.
Question from Mehmet. Big coup for you as well. How did you turn it around from the position that you might have been in a couple of days ago when it sounded like there were struggles on your hands?
Well, quite frankly, I mean, I think I've been very clear. I've only had one person in mind from the very beginning, and that hasn't changed. And I think Ole has already touched on it. If you communicate and you keep the dialogue going and you have faith in each other's word, you get there. And we did, and we got there. So,
how important is it for you to wipe under the carpet what's gone before and, like Ollie said, move into the future now without all the negativity and stories that have surrounded the club on a less pleasing manner?
we're already into the future.
You say that things don't always seem the way that they do. You know, when you're close to something, the perception that we have is maybe a bit different. How did you, honestly, when you first met Vincent Tan, did you find him a bit eccentric? How did you find him?
He's he's the owner. He wants his club to be successful, and he's the owner of the club. He's ploughed loads of money into the club. Of course, he wants it to be successful. And for me, I had a great meeting with him, and it just confirmed to me that this is a man who wants his club to succeed. He's willing to help this club progress and develop into the Premier League club that we want it to be, and stabilise it, the continuity and stability in the club. If we can have that, then I'm sure we can creep up the table.
You're one of those players that even neutrals respected, because you always did a job.
I did my best.
Yeah, you never minded, even though probably you were the best striker, being on the bench, and obviously that glory night in Barcelona. People wish you well now, I think, as a manager. What would you say to them if they're worried about that? You're taking on a job that is a bit difficult, seems to be a bit difficult.
I am really looking forward to the challenge. Whenever the manager put me on the bench, I just wanted to prove to him he was wrong. And if there's any doubts, don't worry. I'm going into this with clear eyes, open eyes, and I know what I'm going into, and I'm so looking forward to it. I'm going to bring my energy, enthusiasm, hopefully football knowledge. I want my team to play exciting football. We want the fans to come here and be proud, as I said before, be proud of us, be proud walking off the pitch. And that's, so I'm just going to ask the players, I'll only ask 100% effort, as I've always asked myself, and been hammered down, of course, with the gaffer and Roy Keane, and that, but that's the norm. I can forgive any mistakes, any misplaced shots, or as long as we go and have a go and we go and enjoy playing in the Premier League.
Have any of your friends in football, without naming them, have you had any calls or texts advising you to think twice about the Cardiff job?
Yeah, there has been one or two text messages, but they, as we say, they're from the outside looking in.
You've got Newcastle obviously in the cup first
Yep.
of all, then you've got West Ham here.
Yep.
Any 2 trips to Manchester?
Yeah,
Final
it's
game of January at
well,
United, what will that be like?
fantastic. What about this for a January? You got away against Arsenal, away against City, and away against United. It's 3 of the 5 or 6 toughest away games you can have in world football. So it's a chance for me. It's a chance for the players to get something out of games that no one would expect. Go out there and enjoy it.
What's your message to the fans?
Keep supporting their fans. Keep supporting their heroes. We'll do what we can to convince them with hard work, the way we're going to play football. We want them to come and support the players as they've always had. They're the heroes. Every Saturday we should come here prepared for the game.
Because you're replacing a hero of theirs. It's none of it's your fault, obviously.
No.
But do you think you'll have any difficulty winning them over?
You know the last two I've got a hard act to follow. The last 2 managers, Dave Jones, who's stabilised the club in the top of the Championship, got him to a cup final. Then Malky brought him up, also a cup final. Of course, it's going to be a tough act to follow. But I'm grateful that I'm inheriting a squad of good players that they've assembled, that they've moulded. So the habits here. I've had a couple of chats with people I know within the club from before, and they all rave about the habits and the professionality and the lads, the attitude, and that's a great starting point.
Just finally, before Malky Mackay, famously, Alan Shearer was interviewed, but of course he was dearer.
Well, it's not about...
No, I was just going to ask, Ollie, over the years, as a player, television commentators have pronounced your name in any number of ways.
Oh, yeah.
Would you like to definitively now tell us, how would you like us to pronounce your name?
Ole, please. It's easier. So there's a few Norwegians here I've seen, so they can... I don't mind. I've had all sorts from... Still, the manager apologised for spelling my wife's name wrongly on the Christmas card in the text the other day, so... That's something I always will live with. Pronunciation of my name is not even easy for Norwegians.
Ollie, you talked about the fans. Whoever of you want to answer this, there have been some suggestions that Vincent might be considering changing the colour of the shirts back to blue. He was in a blue shirt yesterday. Is that something you've insisted on, or is there anything happening on that front?
Nothing.
Ole, I hear what you say about wanting to be judged on your performances on the field,
Yep.
taking that forward and working hard. The man you took over from, of course,
Yep.
took Cardiff into the Premier League,
Yep.
kept them out of the relegation zone, and yet lost his job. What makes you think that you'll be treated any differently?
I'm very confident in my own ability as a manager, and as I said, I'm looking forward. We've had great chats. The important thing is now that we have a good dialogue, how to progress the club, and of course that's the key for me now. That I do communicate, that we do have a good dialogue. Me and Mehmet will be speaking very often, and I'll be in charge of football matters.
And the rolling contract or infinite contract, as you put it, whose decision was that?
Everything is
Yeah.
mutually agreed.
Presumably you'd want to walk into a job, I know I would, knowing that it was the longest contract we could have, and it's 12 months by 12 months. Did you come in here wanting more?
You're guessing.
I've signed a paper that I'm very happy with. I never sign papers I'm not happy with.
And in terms of what's happened, as you've spoken about,
Yeah.
there has been lots of history. Do you feel there is now an off-field job, a PR job, if you will, to win over supporters more broadly, not outside of the club, as well as to what Cardiff City is about again?
Of course, I'll have a good dialogue with the supporters. One of the first things I'll want to do is obviously to meet them and speak to them, and on my views on how to bring the club forward. But it's not about a PR job. In football, if you play well, if you perform on the pitch, fans are going to be happy. That's the most important thing, and that's my issue now, to get us ready and prepared for Newcastle, which is a tough game after the effort they put in on Emirates Stadium last night. It was fantastic.
From Norwegian VG, how hard was it to leave Molde, and what did the owners reckon against them? How did they react?
No, I've had a good dialogue with the owners as well, and we've had 3 fantastic years together, and they've wished me all the best. They think it's well deserved getting the chance in the Premier League. I've got text messages from them wishing me all the best. So, of course, that's very pleasing, knowing that you can leave a club after having done a job and kept your promises. So that was very nice. Of course, it's difficult when I've lived in Kristiansund, my home, my family. That was the big issue, as I said.
And how will your life be here? Will you bring your family? And
The family will come obviously later on. Now it's about getting into the job, into the club, doing what I feel is right, and they'll come over when time's ready for them. It's happened all so quickly, so it's schools and everything we need to talk about. So that'll happen when it happens.
Ollie, you say that it's all happened very quickly. You've got a fellow Dane down the road. You're obviously already aware of the rivalry with Swansea. Are you going to be having any dialogue with Mr. Laudrup at all?
His cousin was actually working for me in Molde, so I'll rather speak to his cousin. So I've never met Michael myself, so but
Do you look forward to a good relationship there, possibly?
as professionals, you have good relationships, of course. We just want to finish above Swansea in the league, of course.
Norwegian broadcasting. What have you taught yourself through the period with Molde that you will bring on to here?
Well, it's the first time I was in charge of football decisions. Because when you were reserve team manager at Man United, you had always the gaffer there to... he signed the players. You were never responsible for results. So the 3 years I've had there, we've been in Europe, we won the league a few times, we won the cup. We played against top teams. And the thing is, what it taught me most, when you're out in Europe, when you play a cup final like we did last month, 6 weeks ago, I need a full stadium. I need the passion. I need the Premier League back again. I think that's where I've had my best times as a player, and that's the best place to be involved in football.
When did you realise that sort of a Norwegian team was a bit too small for your own ambitions?
I've never said they're too small, but for me, it's a next step in my football career. I had a decision to make now. Do I stay in Norway? Do I sign this contract? Because we've had good dialogue with the club. They've always known my position, that I'd like to consider Premier League if it comes up now, because if not, if I sign, I'm going to stay for the long term. And now.
And when was it finally decided? I mean, we saw you yesterday in London. Did you know then? Was it clear then? When was it finalised?
It was more or less clear then, but it was the final decision to make, yeah.
Paul Van Arthur from Media Wales. You mentioned short-term and long-term
Yep.
a moment ago. What's a short-term finishing position for Cardiff this year, and what is the future as you see it in terms of where they can be in the table?
No, if you this season end up top 15, so you're top 5 of the second league, if you like, in the Premier League, because it's almost divided into 2 leagues at the moment. You've got the 8 or 9 top teams, and from 10 and down, it's a league in itself. So, and above Swansea.
Next season and beyond?
Of course, this we have the possibility and the chances to do a Southampton, to push their way into the top 8, 9, 10 clubs, definitely.
Think there's much to change, Ole?
Not really, no, because I think it's, as I said, continuity, stability. There's great football people in the club. I've spoke to a few already that I know, and the quality of the staff, the quality of the players is high. So
Which of the players here that really impressed you then?
no one mentioned, no one forgotten.
Well, you
It's
mentioned 4 players already,
yeah,
so-
yeah. The way they approach the game, and the few times they really ran forward, they excited me. Of course they did. And then it's hard to keep. I can't remember all of them. I can't mention all of them because it will be a long list. But of course, I would love to see Craig back, because I played against him. I've spoke to him. I know how important he is for everyone, and sooner we can get him fit again, he can give every player a boost.
Did you speak to Craig before you took the job?
Not before I took the job, no. But I've had a good chat with him this morning.
And what was his assessment of?
That'll be again between us, of course. Conversations that we have. That's if you.
Can I ask the chairman, Mehmet, you said that you only had one person in mind from the start. Well, you look like the cat who's got the cream this morning, to give a cliche. But why were you so determined to get Ole Gunnar Solskjær?
I watched him play so many times over the last decade that I'm a fan of the way he plays football. I'm a fan of the way he actually looks at the game. I think we'll see a much more forward-attacking football from Ole. And also, I like the way he communicates. And that's one of the things that for me is critical in the role that I play, is communication with my manager and rest of the hierarchy, if you like, all the way up to the owner. And you know, Ole ticks all those boxes.
I wouldn't wish to disrespect Norwegian football, so I don't know enough about it, but it's one thing to win leagues there, another thing entirely to be in the Premier League, isn't it? Were there doubts in your mind there about the step up into Premier League management at all, or are you totally convinced?
Is that a question for me?
Yeah.
No, I'm 100% convinced. I mean, I hear so many of this. You know, I really do worry about these questions, right? There are a number of people. I mean, you know, Premier League. You know, you've got managers there who never actually managed before in the Premier League. I mean, look at Tottenham right now. Tim Sherwood, right? I mean, this chap here has played and has won the highest level possible as a player, but also in Norway, he's won that league twice, won the cup already, and I think for him, the challenge is tremendous, because he's coming here to prove something, not just to Cardiff, but for himself. I have no doubts of that. I never had any doubts from day one, so I'm a little bit fixated on my objective here. So yes, and I do feel like a cat. That's just.
So how hard did you have to work, Trevor, to convince Ole to come to you?
Not that hard. We're just good dialogue. Common sense, pragmatic discussion, and trust, and that worked for us.
Ole, Riathel Samurai from the Daily Mail. Could you tell us firstly when sort of the first contact was made from Cardiff, and secondly, if you had any other offers?
I've been in contact with a few clubs. Yes, they've been inquiring about my position, and it was just before New Year's, a few days before. It was after. I can't remember what day it even was. Who remember days in at Christmas time anyway?
Yeah.
So that was it.
Yeah.
It was. Can't remember what day. Boxing Day and the fourth. What was the day? Saturday.
Boxing Day.
Saturday, the fourth day of Christmas.
Yeah.
And
fourth day of Christmas.
yeah.
Yes.
So it's been a quick decision to make with the family. That was never a football decision to make. It was about convincing them that this is now the right time.
And the other offers were from Premier League.
I don't think that's fair to say. Comment either.
And just to go back to the issue on the contract, I'd just like to know, I mean, is there a kind of definitive length that we can talk about on this? I mean, are we talking about a 12-month rolling contract? Or?
Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
It's a 12-month rolling contract.
Oh, it's
infinite.
Infinite rolling contract.
When you played in the Premier League,
yeah.
Obviously Manchester United dominated. Can I ask what you think about the strength of the Premier League you're coming back to now as a manager and Manchester United as well?
I think the league now is more divided than it was when in two tiers. Before it was Arsenal and Man United really, with the odd team that challenged us when I played. Now you've got Arsenal, Chelsea, City, Liverpool, Man United, and then you have Tottenham, Newcastle. You got the 8 or 9, and then you got a very close league underneath there. I think for me, Premier League is all about. I think the difference is the tempo. Everything is played at a much higher tempo than in Italy, in Spain, in Germany. That's just my feel from the outside. I played there, and I know the intensity of the Premier League is massive, and that's probably that is the deciding factor when Jordan Much has to come off yesterday, because they've had loads of games lately with high intensity that we've never had in Cardiff before. So, and the quality of play, they've got some of the best players in the world. Yeah, you got the probably the two best in Spain with Messi and Ronaldo, but then you've got the 3, 4 and 5 probably more north in the middle of the country.
And what do you make of Manchester United? Obviously you take Cardiff there in a couple of weeks. Having lost to Alex, are they naturally weaker than they were when you were there?
It's not right for me to comment about Man United. I know they're a club in the transition process anyway. They'll always be in and around the top of the league when it comes. And David's now he's been a few months in the job, and now he's settling in it. So the future of Man United is bright. I think the future of Cardiff is bright.
Ole, do you have some Sir Alex Ferguson traits in your own management style, do you feel?
I've learned from him. I've obviously been moulded by him. I know I've not studied him, but I worked under him, and I've had the best teacher there can be of man management or managing a football club. Might be different personalities, but for me, I've learned a few tricks from him, obviously. I've took advice from him, obviously. You think back at times, what did the gaffer do when this and that happened? So of course I'm looking through my diaries, because I I was a boring man, but a reflective man. I always used to write notes about, even when I was a coach as well. I stayed in his team talks, meetings. So of course, yeah, I've learned from him.
Ole, you continue to stay in touch with him, guide you through this?
To be honest, I've never asked advice on how to manage the football club at Molde. So I'll manage it myself. I won't ask those kind of questions, no.
How's your hair dry?
Ask my players, ex-players.
The last few questions on
Just on that note, sorry,
Yeah.
Stuart James from Guy. Ferguson was quite notorious for losing his temper at times,
Yeah.
and he talks about using that in a positive way. It's probably quite hard for many of us to imagine you being like that in an angry up. Are you like that in the dressing room? Is there that side to you?
As I said before, I'll only ask 100%, but I always ask 100%. And anything less is not acceptable.
And Ferguson's also always talked about his belief that the manager should be the most important person in the football club.
Yeah.
Where do you stand on that view, Ole?
I agree.
Are you confident that will be the case?
Yeah, I'm very confident in that football matters. That's my matter.
And some clear parameters being set so that what did happen before doesn't happen again in the future in terms of the relationship between the owner and the manager.
Yes.
And who will be in charge of the budget? The
Me.
transfers?
There is nothing that we're not going to discuss. Ole and I will talk about everything, and we'll set it from there onwards.
And is your pledge on 25 million still there?
Who made that pledge? I didn't.
Okay. Is there a pledge for it?
No. We don't have numbers. We will discuss what we need, and we'll go and get what we need. I'm not going to get sucked into the numbers game.
I know we've kept you for a while, just very briefly. You're obviously delighted that you've got your man, but you're obviously a businessman. You're looking at this club. You must have a certain degree of expectation. Are you able to share with us, and I suspect you've already shared with Ole, what your expectation is going to be short term and long term as far as his tenure in charge?
It's exactly the same as his.
Just clear something up, because it's a bit strange, because you put emphasis on the long-term project being in place, of course, but at the same time you're not signed a 3-year deal, not a 4-year deal, it's a 12-month rolling contract, which could seem a bit complicated. Could you explain to us how that works?
Look, last 20 years of my life, I run investment banks. I have some of the best intellectual capital that walks into my trading floor and goes home every night. You know, people get too fixated how you actually construct everything. What we have here is a platform and a contract where both sides are incredibly happy with. In fact, we agreed on them very quickly. That was the least of our problems. So I don't see why we need to actually follow what everyone else does. This works for us, and we're very happy with that.